Good afternoon, financial professionals. Abby Fletcher here of E4 Insurance Services, welcoming you to the BREW, Building Relationships Every Week. Thanks for tuning in today. For those of you joining the BREW for the first time, we like to start the BREWcast by celebrating today's National Day for February 16th. Today is National Do a Grouch a Favor Day, an entire day where we're encouraged to answer the call of kindness. We all know a grouchy person, and we may be that grouchy person occasionally also. Today, help a grouch turn their frown upside down. It takes a little skill, but the giver and the recipient are greatly rewarded. Today on the BREW, we have Ben Hatch, who serves as CareMatters wholesaler focused at Nationwide CareMatters. We couldn't wait to have him on the BREW because all eyes were on Washington State last year as they passed the Long-Term Care Trust Act. This caused a wave in our industry and urgency around long-term care planning. Today, Ben will share the learnings that came out of this act and why private long-term care insurance will remain to be front of mind. Take a look at the chat box down below. I'll be keeping a lookout while Ben is live to answer any questions or comments. Also, all attendees are in a drawing for a prize, and we'll be announcing the winner shortly. Thank you for tuning in, and without further ado, Ben, welcome. The mic is yours.
All right. Thanks, Abby. I appreciate it. And good afternoon or good morning for wherever you're calling in from. And I appreciate you having me discuss a little bit about, Nationwide in general, not necessarily the CareMatters product, but, what's going on in the industry. And I know when Washington pops up on your screen, you may be rolling your eyes or taking a deep breath and maybe saying, "Oh, not this again." But we really need to continue the conversation because it's very important for us as experts to not only learn what happened, but learn from it. Hopefully there's some adjustments, and then what is going to be coming towards us next, because after, from what we really see, when one state does something that may be tax related, will other states follow? And we'll talk about that. So again, as Abby mentioned, we'll speak a little bit on the state of Washington. Now, full disclosure, what you're seeing on your screen is just really a snapshot from the Washington CARES Funds, kind of like a refresher, but I do want to point out a few things. This is not updated with the recent announcements of what the state of Washington did, okay? So what the state of Washington made some adjustments that are different here, and I'll walk through those, but one thing, or a couple things I should say, remained consistent. They are taxing for a public funded LTC plan. That tax is 0.58% of all W-2 employees, and that benefit is $36,500. All the other stuff may be adjusted depending on what they come up with. Now, I know that it says here that the program, it was going to start this year. That has not taken place. It's actually going to be starting, from what we hear at least, it's going to be starting sometime next year in the summertime, I believe June or July. But it's still not guaranteed, right? And there's still some other adjustments being made as far as who's going to benefit from this and who's not. So, and we'll go over that. But the real important thing that it's very important to announce is what's next. As I mentioned, other states could be doing something similar, right? These are the states that we are hearing that may be doing something. Now, keep in mind, this is not, other than California, right? Let's get that off the board. California is actually being proactive and drafting some sort of bill. What that bill looks like, we don't know. But we have people, lobbyists, and other insurance companies have lobbyists that are really going into the state of California, trying to, I wouldn't want to say get their way, but really trying to educate them on what Washington did, what you can do better from the state standpoint. But as far as what that tax will look like, when it's going to affect, I do not know. We don't know. They do have an LTC task force, and you actually can go out onto the Department of Insurance website with California and listen in on those task force so you can understand, maybe they will say some things that will be very beneficial for you. But the other states that we see here on our screen, Oregon all the way down over to the right to the Utah, these are states that we are, from our understanding, have their eyes on it, right? They're not proactively drafting anything. We don't know what they're discussing. We don't see anything out on their websites that they may be developing some sort of task force, but we are seeing that they are eyes on it, right? So if you have clients in these states, really important to give them some updates today as far what may be happening, what has happened, just to keep them educated and keep the long-term care discussion at the front of their mind. Now, we've learned some things. We all have learned some things about the state of Washington and from this Washington Cares Fund, right? Really, one thing is low-income families. You know, why are they being taxed, right? We don't know if you know, we don't understand as from a tax standpoint if this is really going to benefit them, right? They can't really afford more dollars coming out of their paycheck, right? And plus, they're going to be Medicaid waiver eligible anyway. So where does this benefit them? Self-employed individuals. We hope other states understand that from the state of Washington, self-employed individuals actually have are not required to participate. They have the option to. Why? You know, why is that? We were probably going to think that other states that may do something similar would elect anyone receiving income in that certain state may be option eligible for that tax. The third bullet point, cognitive impairment, right? If you understand how federal triggers a claim, it's 2 out of the 6 activities of daily living or a cognitive impairment. That cognitive impairment is a separate qualifier, right? So with the state of Washington, what we all have learned, they kind of made it harder for them to get the benefit, right? So we kind of hope other states maybe look at a federal claim. Hopefully they don't make it any harder as the state of Washington has done. It's 3 out of the 10. So that cognitive impairment is not a separate identifier. So many of you know, those who may have early onset dementia or Alzheimer's understand that, you know, they can still do things around the house, right? If that were the case, they would not qualify for this plan here, but may for another plan, such as a private LTC insurance policy. The last one for employees, right? This is one of the things that is being looked at and being talked about. The individuals who may be being taxed by the state of Washington because they technically, their company's in there, but they don't live there. And so they're being taxed. That's things that are being looked at. And even clients or residents, I should say, who, you know, live and work in another state and still being taxed. Think about Portland, Oregon, those who are right on the border. So that is being looked at, and also individuals who are looking to retire. As you can imagine or understand, in order to get the benefit, you have to be a resident at the time of claim in the state of Washington. So thinking about individuals who are looking to retire elsewhere, whether that's internationally or to another state, at that time, they would not benefit from this plan. That is one thing certainly being looked at. Now, how did this impact insurance companies? You all on this call, E4 Insurance Services, any individual or any company involved in insurance planning process, we've all been impacted, right? So how did this affect insurance companies? Well, the buyout opportunity really created a huge amount of volume for us from a capacity standpoint that we couldn't handle, right? So what we kind of described from a buyout to an opt-out, we kind of look at that as a little bit of a different definition. Let me explain. The buyout opportunity, what we think is basically the state saying, we're going to have this tax today. You have X amount of months to purchase a plan in order to buy out of this program, right? You're buying out. Opt-out really is if you have this plan before a bill is signed, you're good, you're exempt from this tax, but there's not going to be a buyout. What we kind of understand that other states may do, what we think they will do is they won't offer a buyout, right? They won't give your client opportunity an X amount of months to purchase this plan. Now, state of Washington didn't give everyone enough time to plan, right? They, 5 or 6 months when they really launched this idea, saying, you know, this is how long you have to purchase a private LTC insurance plan. As you can imagine, insurance carriers were loaded with volume count and applications. And so, you know, that kind of scared us a little bit, right? Unfortunately, there was a lot of applications that we kind of had to leave on the table just because we just didn't have enough people to process these applications. Recertification, that's one of the things that we hope that the state of Washington is looking at. At the time, recertification was not mentioned in the legislation bill. So insurance companies, as you can imagine, were freaking out because what we think is that the client may purchase this product for the short term and then turn around and surrender it, right? As you can imagine how profitability works in the insurance industry, at least especially for life insurance, insurance carriers don't profit off life insurance years down the road, right? We spend all that money up front to do underwriting, to do case management, to pay out the commission and all that sorts of good stuff. And so we expect to make that money back and some down the road as individuals keep their policy. Well, since there's no recertification process being mentioned, insurance carriers, as you can imagine, freaked out a little bit. A good thing to mention is what else other than states will be talking about a possible tax for LTC. There's some federal bills being discussed. Now, for the sake of time and for sake of presentation, I won't go into detail, but here's a quick highlight of all of them. WISH Act, the Social Security Caregiving Credit Act, Better Care, Better Jobs Act, Credit for Caring Act, and the last one, the Long-Term Care Affordability Act. Now, most of these on your screen are a tax. Right now, the last one, though, as I will say, is not a tax. This actually promotes private LTC insurance. And as you can imagine, insurance companies are certainly pushing for a bill like this. So if anyone on the call has an ear in the government to involved with Pat Toomey's bill, this is something that you probably want to look at pushing. Here's why. And it's just one slide here that I go over. It actually allows you to take out of your 401k, anything out of qualified retirement account to purchase LTC insurance, right? So it's not a tax. It's saying, hey, dip into your 401k for a maximum amount of X to purchase private LTC insurance, tax-free and also penalty-free if you decide to withdraw prior to 59 and a half. So this is just a quick view of what that bill looks like. So why discuss LTC today? Remember, as I said before, you're probably rolling your eyes when I mentioned about Washington, because aren't we all kind of sick of what we just all went through the past year? The reason why you want to talk about it, because there's other states going forward. And if we all learned about something, right, it was not only did the insurance companies get overwhelmed, your clients and also you as the advisor probably got overwhelmed because you had a bunch of clients looking to purchase LTC insurance to opt out of this tax, right? So you want to plan now because of those states represent 30% of the US states, right? So you probably have a lot of clients there. And also to prevent any sort of rush, right? And you don't want your client's application coming in during this phase and then being in line, you know, with 1,000 people in front of her, 1,000 applications in front of them, right? That could take a very long time to get processed. Not only that, what about rates, right? We've seen other insurance carriers. Now, Nationwide didn't do this, but I could imagine they may rethink that if another state launches something different. But other carriers raise their premium rates, right? Or just left. So why plan today? Well, your client will be able to get the product that they want with the carrier that they want, right? And I'd like to be biased and say, hey, I think Nationwide's a fit for everybody, but that may not always be the case, right? So we want to make sure your client happy and also you as the advisor is happy. You plan today, you're able to get that insurance product with that certain carrier that you like versus risking them not being around if that state comes out. How about portable, right? As I mentioned with the Washington one, at the time, it wasn't so portable. It couldn't be used between other states if they decided to retire. Private LTC insurance, you don't have to worry about that, right? It's portable. You can use it wherever you want. It's customizable. It's not a one size fits all. So you certainly can customize it to your client's needs instead of making up a benefit that may not benefit them as much in retirement or when LTC needs are at a rise, right? So that is why you certainly need to continue focusing and plan with LTC insurance, just because it's just much more flexible, right? It's inflation is involved. premium choices, right? You can do a single pay all the way up to a lifetime pay. At least with CareMatters, you can do a lifetime pay up to age 100 if your client qualifies for an age requirement. So there's a lot more flexibility with private LTC insurance, as you can imagine, with the state plan. But always remember to write good business, right? We all want to make sure. Now, I understand we're advisors. Not only do we make sure our clients are prepared for retirement and want to live the lifestyle that they requested for in retirement, we do a little bit of tax avoidance as well, right? We want to make sure our clients are not paying any unnecessary taxes or minimizing those taxes as much as possible. That's why there's estate planning, right? That's why we have CPAs. So I understand that doing a plan, if their state comes out with one, that you're doing this to just do tax avoidance. I wouldn't do just due to tax avoidance. I would certainly make sure that need is there as well. You don't want to do a minimum policy, and then if they end up keeping the policy and they go on claim and they realize it's really not much than what the state was going to give them, why did they even purchase this, right? So you don't want it to backfire on you. So you want to write good business, make sure it makes sense. That inflation's there, that the LTC benefit duration is there. We've seen a lot of cases come through the door that's quite obvious that the client is looking to surrender the policy if the state of Washington is looking to not offer or not incentivize a recertification process. So just make sure you write good business. And us at Nationwide and E4 Insurance Services can certainly help out with that. How can we help? We have cost of calculators. You can certainly Google out there for Nationwide and for any other carrier. We all have estimated cost carriers that really nail down where the place that you're located. CareMatters is a solution for this, and also life insurance with LTC, right? Well, I will mention with CareMatters, since we're on this call, is we did reopen for sale in Washington. So those who are in Washington, doing business in Washington, we did reopen for CareMatters only. Life insurance with LTC riders is not available at this time, but CareMatters is. We also did a digital process. Thanks to Washington, we have learned that we didn't have enough people to process applications. Nationwide now does a digital interview. You can do a digital app if you have that ability. Your client will also do a digital interview, so they won't be talking to somebody live over the phone. That will make things a little bit more streamlined and go through the process a lot quicker than what you probably experienced before. I'll end with this, a summary. Now, we all understand what the state of Washington did to the entire industry, right? And they had a population of about 7 to 8 million people. As I mentioned to you earlier, California is looking to do something similar, and they're being proactive. They got a population of 40 million. As you can imagine, what that will do to the industry, you better bet insurance carriers are going to raise those premium rates or even leave and not offer anything. So please plan today, at least plan to see today, start that planning process so you and your clients are prepared for when that next state launches an identical law. That's it. That's all I have. I appreciate it. Thanks again for allowing me to speak to you today, and I'll pass it back to Abby.
Thanks, Ben. Super appreciate it. And I've opened up the line for questions or comments from the audience. And while we wait for people to unmute themselves, I just wanted to thank you for meeting with us today. Now that the dust has settled, it was good to just get a little look back, what took place moving forward. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any questions from the audience or any reactions to anything Ben mentioned? Okay, we've dazzled them, Ben. So now I will go to the drawing portion of the BREW. So I'm going to ask you to choose a number, Ben, from 1 to 22.
Let's choose 19.
Number 19. Who's the winner? Who's the winner? Oh, Cassie Corbin. Congratulations. Be on the lookout for some complimentary Nationwide CE coming to you from our friends at Nationwide. Also a coffee card from us here at E4is. That'll be coming to you via email. Thanks for dialing in. And be sure to tune in next Wednesday, folks, because we are going to get techie. We'll be showcasing Insight, a software that prepares high-end presentations to help your sales soars. Thanks for calling in and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.